Honestly, a lot of our girls like to read when we go up. We've got like a whole little book
Really?
club. Yeah, it's like secret Wayne State women's basketball book club. They are obsessed with their reading.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Warrior Weekly with myself, Brady Beedon, Kevin Brechmacher to my left as we recap everything that happened in the world of Wayne State athletics over the past week. It was a good weekend on the hardwood. 4 wins, 2 for the men, 2 for the women. Let's start with the men because that's now 3 in a row for them. And yeah, we knew this was going to be maybe not as tough as a weekend as what we'll talk about later in the show. But the Parkside game, an 82-78 win, a game where it felt like, ooh, they got out to a big lead, and you think they're going to cruise, and then it's uh-oh. They tie it up. You eventually get the 4-point win. Kevin, that was that felt like a big-time momentum win and a big-time, almost a culture building win for this team.
It showed a lot about what this Wayne State men's team is made of on Thursday night because they led the entire game. Parkside never led at one point, but it did seem like it was going to be fairly easy early on. And then in the second half, you could just see Parkside coming and free throw after made free throw after made free throw. They tie the game up with about 2 minutes to go. You're thinking, Jordan Briggs goes down the other way, driving layup to give Wayne State a 2-point lead. Okay, settles things down for a minute. Then Parkside comes right back, hits a tough jumper in the paint with about 1:15 remaining, and we're tied again. And the Warriors were running the shot clock down the next time they had the basketball, and luckily, shouldn't say luckily because they forced it, but they drew contact, a foul was called, and from that point on, Wayne State just made free throw after free throw, 6 in a row down the stretch to ice the game to win by 4, and I think it showed a lot about what this team is made of because, again, it takes a lot. You're winning the whole game, you're thinking to yourself, okay, we got this win, we got what you would think a pretty easy opponent Saturday before this long road trip this week, and we have a chance to really move up in the standings, and then they tie it up twice. But great response from Wayne State and a big win.
We had 23 from Carlos Paul, the third, a career high for him. That was a big one. But the one spot where I thought they improved a lot was on their depth. Adam Arol, Jalen Jenkins, and Jacoby Booz all off the bench. If you look at the plus-minus, they were all giving very good numbers in that regard. And I think that's somewhere where, even Coach Smothers, when we talked to him during the game or after the game, he said that's somewhere where they're improving is their depth, where they can go to their bench and there's not as much of a fall off maybe as there was even in December.
Yeah, I think that's the one part of the Wayne State team that's improving the most these last couple weeks. It was maybe a down point was that game after Saginaw, maybe the day after Saginaw, that 24 hours where Wayne State was kind of like, what do we have here? We're not really getting the production we want from some guys on our bench, some of the transfers. We missed a ton of free throws in that Saginaw game or they probably would have won. And then they come right back 2 days later, they beat Lake State, and they've been on a really good run since. The depth is improving. Jacoby Booz, I continue to say, is just impressing me amazingly here the last couple of weeks. I've called him my favorite player now on Wayne State's men's basketball team just because he has so much poise. He hits big shots. He plays calmly. He doesn't force things. He draws free throws when he has an opportunity to do so and doesn't make a lot of really what you would call freshman mistakes. He did redshirt last year, and as Coach Smothers always brings up, he played against 3 all-league guards in practice all year last year, getting him ready for this season. But I've just been so impressed with that young man and the way he's evolved as the season's gone on. And he's somebody now that Michigan Tech and Northern Michigan this week, we'll talk about that in the next segment, but have to focus on to stop Wayne State. You have to start scouting to stop Jacoby Booz.
Right, and you go to Saturday, a very similar story. Again, he had 12 off the bench, along with Adam Arol having 12. Wayne State beat Roosevelt 78-67. They got the win. I think the term we used before we started recording is for a little bit it felt like they were playing with their food. Because this Roosevelt team is struggling. They're not quite at the level to compete for a GLIAC. Like, their goal is probably to make the GLIAC tournament. From where they're at right now.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Right, and that's just where they are as a program. But, it was a 4-point lead at halftime, and Wayne State didn't put them away maybe the way you'd like them to, but in the end, they still come away with an 11-point win.
By the way, speaking of Adam Arol, he had a dunk in the game on Saturday.
That was
in my top 5. I've been doing this for 10-plus years now. It's definitely in my top 5.
But the pass to set it up.
Yeah, it was a full-court pass.
It was a it was a baseball football pass, cocking back and put it right on the money.
It was unbelievable. Just a great pass, great catch, and just a dunk and a foul. Great execution by Wayne State. But yeah, I think Coach Mellors would agree with me and the rest of the coaching staff. It's just a bad matchup for Wayne State. Roosevelt beat them twice last year. Roosevelt doesn't play, I'm trying to put this in a nice possible way, they don't play team basketball very well. It's a lot of individuals out there going one-on-one, and it's tough if they're on to stop, because even if you play solid team defense, if you've got a guy going one-on-one and making fadeaway shot after fadeaway shot, there's nothing you can really do about that, and that's what happened in those two losses last year for Wayne State against Roosevelt. It happened for a lot of the first half and early in the second half in the game on Saturday until Wayne State's talent kind of took over and played a much better team basketball game in the second half to the Warriors. But Adam Ayrault was great. It's just, again, you look up at the box score on your computer with about 3 to 4 minutes to go in all these games for Wayne State lately, and there's 6 or 7 guys that are around that 8 to 14 to 15 point range, and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, there's nobody on this team. I mean, not to say we don't have good individual talent. Don't get me wrong, we do. But there's nobody on this team that's going to consistently score 30 or 35 points a game. It's just not going to happen. But when you have 7, 8 guys that are scoring between 8 and 14 to 15 points a game, you're going to win a lot of games, and that's what Wayne State's been doing lately.
Yeah, and they get 2 wins in a row, 3 in a row, and they're setting themselves up now, again, for this big road trip coming up to the UP. The women got a pair of wins, too, against Parkside, a 95-88 win. A very offensive-minded game for the Warriors. Gabi Lutchka, who was named GLIAC Offensive Player of the Week, started her weekend off 32 points in the win, but kind of buried in that were some other strong performances. McKenna Ferguson had 18 points, another double-double for Taylor Thompson. She had 13-10, and even 3 assists mixed in there. McKenna had 5 assists as well. J.C. Tubergen, 10 points and 6 assists. I mean, those are all big numbers, but the one that stood out was Gabi Lutchka, 32 points on 12 of 17 shooting, including 4 of 5 from downtown. The thing that makes this Wayne State women's team so dangerous is you don't really know who to circle on the scouting report. We were talking about it, I think, down at the scorers table after the game, was who are you putting at the top of the scouting report? Is it McKenna? Is it Taylor Thompson? Because that can happen. They've had both Gabi, McKenna, and Taylor have all put 30-plus points up this season. Yep. So you can't allocate all your resources to one player.
You can't. It's the 3-headed monster, the big 3. That's the new term in basketball now ever since LeBron and Bosh and Wade got together. The big 3, right? Well, our big 3, Lutchka, Ferguson, and Thompson, have been excellent all season long. You never know which one of them is going to go off, and this week it was Gabi Lutchka. She was unbelievable Thursday, and she was maybe even better on Saturday. Didn't score as many points, but just the efficiency of the way she scored. And I'll tell you what, Parkside, they're 3-5 in the league on the women's side. But they're very well coached. It's a tough team to play against. They always play Wayne State tough, or vice versa, depending on who's the better team going into the game. It's always a good game. So I expected the game to be close. I don't think anybody who knew anything about the rivalry would say, Wayne State's women are going to win by 20 points. That's not going to happen against Parkside.
Well, for a second you thought it might, and then Wayne State was up pretty big, and then Parkside just wouldn't go away. There were 2 big plays in that game. One, there looked like it was going to be a 3-point basket and the ball for Parkside. Coach Lore challenged the call. It was a foul. I believe it was Emily Holman ran through the screener, and they originally said it was after the shot. They challenged it was before the shot. There were 3. That was a 3-point swing because the basket didn't count. And then the other one was Taylor Thompson at the end of a shot clock in the final 2 minutes hits a fadeaway 3 from the corner that after honestly a good defensive possession for Parkside, hits a 3, and it kind of let the air out of the balloon for Parkside. I was like, man, we did everything we needed to do and still couldn't get the stop.
Doesn't it seem like this year when the Wayne State women get challenged at end of games that somebody always steps up and hits a big shot?
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say just end of games, end of quarters, it's getting close, team's making a run on them. Oh, okay, we'll hit a fadeaway 3, or Gabi Lutchka gets a big shot, or Emily Holman hits a big shot like she did against Findlay. It didn't happen, I guess, in the last possession against Grand Valley a couple weeks ago, but Taylor Thompson did hit a big shot with about 20 seconds to go to give Wayne State a 1-point lead, down by 1. So it seems like, it happens a lot, but that's because this Wayne State team has a bunch of veterans on it. when talk about the big three, Taylor Thompson, a senior, McKenna Ferguson, a junior, Gabi Lutchka, a senior, they've all been around the program quite some time, and they know how to play down the stretch, and that's why I give them, and we'll talk about that in the next segment, but it's going to be a tough week against two good teams. But again, you have that experience and that talent going on the road. I expect it to carry over and Wayne State to have a good week.
It wasn't much of an issue on a Saturday, a 78-50 win. It was never in doubt. I mean, Gabi Lutchka, another 25-point performance. She ended up on 10 of 13 shooting. She was, again, super efficient, had a double-double. She had 10 rebounds as well. McKenna Ferguson had 11 points. Lexi Boyke off the bench had 13. But this was a game to get a lot of different players in. I mean, you look at the minutes played. Gabi was the only one over 30. Emily Homan off the bench actually had the next most with 26. They took care of business against Roosevelt. It was 26-9 after a quarter. And a Roosevelt team that's not the women are better than their men, but it wasn't ever really an issue for them. I mean, no one for Roosevelt scored more than 11. They dominated that game.
Now, before I make this next comment, I think Davenport's a better team probably than Roosevelt, but it was nice to see Wayne State's women, after a tough game on Thursday and a big win, kind of respond and not kind of sleepwalk through the first couple quarters like they did against Davenport after the Grand Valley game a couple weeks ago. They came out and they pretty much put them away in the first quarter, and that's what you like to see out of a good team. Hey, we're not going to, like you like to say, play with your food out there. You're just going to go out there and we're going to win the game. We're going to dominate. We're going to get a lot of other players into the game. We're going to save our legs for a tough week coming up this week and a tough stretch run with these 12 games remaining in the regular season. So it was an impressive performance, but a performance I expected. I think you know that personally. We won't get into that. But I expected a big win from Wayne State in the basketball game, and that's what happened, and it set them up for this week. But that's a sign of a good team is you take care of business at home against teams you should beat.
How about 23 assists on 31 made shots? That's pretty good.
That's
pretty darn good. And I think half of them that were on, like, putbacks.
It's the biggest difference, I think, and not to say the teams that Carrie Lohr has had in the last 7-8 years haven't been team-oriented. Don't get me wrong. But, again, when there's not just one really good standout player or two really good standout players, you have 3, 4, maybe even 5 standout players, you can play team basketball a lot more efficiently, and I think that's what Wayne State's doing. They share the ball. It doesn't matter who scores. It doesn't matter if Gabi Lutchka goes off for 2 games and wins Player of the Week this coming week it could be Taylor Thompson, or this week it could be, who knows, Emily Homan. It could be Lexi Boyke. It could be Coco Sylvester. She plays great in big games. Like, you just don't know who it's going to be. And I think when you have that faith and ability and confidence in all these players that Wayne State's women's teams have had this year, that's the type of basketball you play, and it's been successful so far. 13-4, you can't argue with that.
And we talked about it being a business-like game or weekend where 2 games you should win. If you want to be a GLIAC champion, if you want to have the best seed possible for a potential national or national tournament berth, you go on, you win both these games, and they went out and they won both these games and did so. I don't want to say convincingly because Thursday got a little iffy, but they did so without too much headache.
Yeah, and again, I don't think it was Thursday. I think talking to Coach Lohr after the game, she was definitely relieved they won. Saturday, I think, was definitely fun in the second half for Wayne State, just to kind of sit back a little bit, continue to play hard, don't get me wrong, but kind of not have to stress. Keep that blood pressure down a little bit. That's definitely key, especially at this point of the year. I call it the dog days of January right now in basketball seasons when you're talking about Wayne State, because you're in the middle of, you're playing 2 games every single week. We're all these road trips. Now this week we're going up to the UP for a 9-hour bus ride round trip, and it's the dog days of January. It's cold. It's freezing outside. Like, who's going to continue to play hard? Who's going to keep the pedal to the metal and keep it going when we get into that February thaw of the season? I like to call it the last couple of weeks when you're setting up tournament play. Who's going to be in good position? And right now, Wayne State is in excellent position on both genders, by the way. Yeah. The men, if the season ended today, the men would be hosting Ferris State in the first round of the GLIAC tournament. The women would be hosting, I forget who it might be Saginaw, might be Roosevelt even, but they'd be the 2 seed, and they'd both be in great shape. We'd have a doubleheader on GLIAC quarterfinal night right now if the season ended today, and that gives a great shout out to both these teams in the way they played so far this year.
And last thing before we move on, the latest coaches poll on the women's side is not out yet. The Wayne State women need to be in that mix when it does come out. That we'll see what happens. They have a chance to make it right, but they need to start getting a little more recognition.
It's embarrassing. I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to be a homer here. I know I'm a homer. I try to do the best job I can analyzing things and give credit when credit's due or give criticism when criticism's due. But it's embarrassing that the Wayne State women all year, with the resume they have, the results they put up, the teams they've lost to, and the teams they've beaten, and also the teams that they probably should have beaten, Grand Valley, that they're not being recognized nationally. Hopefully this week it's different.
All right, around the rest of Wayne State, a lot of action down at Findlay. Women's track and field went down, a 4-team event. They finished second down in Findlay. And then for swimming, they were down in Findlay as well. The women fell 139-66. The men against a top 10 ranked team in Findlay, 106-99. I know Coach Peters was saying that he is very hopeful that this team is going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And, well, you're going up against another top 10 team and a much better result than last week where, Grand Valley kind of took you to. You go down to Findlay, and it's a nail-biter.
Going down to Findlay is such a fun trip. I'm sad they're not in the GLIAC anymore, honestly. And they're really good at every sport, too. You talk about their swim team's very good. Their women's basketball team was pretty solid. Their men's basketball team is very good. Their football team had a great year. Like, they should be back in the GLIAC. Bring them back to the conference. I love that trip.
All right, now coming up next, I got to sit down with the GLIAC Offensive Player of the Week, Gabi Lutchka, right here on Warrior Weekly with Brady Beedon. All right, now time for our conversation with the reigning GLIAC Offensive Player of the Week, Gabi Lutchka. Gabi, I know this was a last-minute change for you. You had to run over here on short notice, so thank you for coming in and doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so, I guess we'll start with that, the lead. You just had an incredible weekend. 32, a career high against Parkside, another 25. At times it must have felt like you were throwing a rock into the ocean. What about this weekend, as a team and yourself, has allowed you to excel recently, because you guys are on a roll, both yourself and as a team?
Yeah, I think I said in the post-game interview that we just have teammates that find joy in other people's success. And so that was very evident this past weekend, Thursday and Saturday. I think I was watching film back and they were like, 19 assists on 23 made shots. That's just what our team likes to do. We like to share the ball. Part of that's we like to push in transition, even transition threes. So, yeah, we were just connecting on shots. My teammates were finding me. And, the hot hand is the hot hand that game. So finding that helps get a win at the end of the day.
Well, I think it's very evident that you're very unselfish, because there are games where maybe you're not playing your best, but maybe Taylor or McKenna are going to score 25 or 30. And at least from my perspective up in the press box, it doesn't seem like it bothers anyone. As long as you guys get the win, hey, if it's someone else's day, let it be their day.
Yeah. We all have that bigger picture mind, too, at the end of the day. We have some big goals for our team, and whatever it takes any night. And that's the great thing about our team, too, is it could be any person any single night. Emily Holman coming off the bench against Grand Valley, great. We were all so ecstatic. Nobody thinks about who's scoring blah, 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 or I don't have this many points or whatever. And like I said, the hot hand's the hot hand, and we're going to find that person, and it could be anyone any night. And that's the great thing about our team. Is we're all just scoring threats, and teams don't know who to guard, because it could be anyone. So
I think it was after the Parkside game, I was talking to Coach Laura up in the hospitality area, and I just kind of asked her. I said, if you were scouting yourself, who would be the first person on the scouting report?
Yeah.
And she wasn't sure, because she had to think about it for a while, because you can't really say, all right, if we stop this one player, I know you've played against them where it's all right, she averages 25 a night, we got to stop her. You guys don't have that. There are games where, like I said, you might not have a great night, Taylor or whoever might not have a great night, but someone else always seems to fill it in.
Yeah, and I also heard this while watching film back. It's not very common you see multiple players in one season have 30-plus point games. So Ferg had one, Taylor's had one, and now I've had one. It puts team on the edge. They don't know who to guard. No. And, we're all scoring threats from every level. Ferg drives. I drive, Taylor drives, JC's getting in there, Emily, everybody's getting in there. Everybody's knocking down threes. We're knocking down jumpers. Girls are stepping into new roles, too. Coco stepping into a starting spot. Max started, pulled down a bunch of rebounds, almost had a double-double against Davenport. those are great things to see, and I think that just makes our team so well-rounded and a big threat to some other teams.
So let's talk a little bit about Gabi, because your journey here wasn't necessarily a straight line. From a small town, from Grass Lake. How many kids were in your graduating class?
I graduated with 74 kids, and I knew their grandparents, their parents, their siblings, like the whole extended family. And honestly, there's pros to that, there's cons to that, but I enjoyed going to a small school.
Right, so small school, and actually out of college or out of high school, you went up to Northwood.
Yeah.
So kind of a similar vibe. It's not a huge school, very small campus, but you leave after one semester there to come here to Wayne State. Talk about that transition, because, you know, you were very successful in high school. You went to Northwood, and now you're coming here to Wayne State, and both on the court and maybe just around, just living in Detroit was a bit of a culture shock at first.
Yeah.
What was that like coming here?
Yeah, Northwood, I mean, just like any kid coming out of high school, they want to go far from home. And honestly, I thought 2.5 hours was far from home. And I got up there, and I'm like, oh, no, this feels like 10 hours. So just made the switch. Coach Laura had called me. She recruited me out of high school. We had a great relationship. This is also when Coach LaFata was here, too. So I had met with her and Coach Chrissy, and they called me. They wanted me to come here. My brother was also in med school, and he's now married, but they were both living across the street from me. So that just made the switch easier. And Grass Lake's about like 55 minutes from here, which is super nice because I have so many friends and family and neighbors that come to our games too, which has been super nice. But yeah, Detroit was a bit of a change. My hometown has 2 stoplights. And so one-way streets here was like very different. The roundabout or the Michigan left turns, whatever those are. Yeah, those were super new. But I've loved it. Like living here has just been a cool experience. Going to school here, it's a great college. I'm getting a great education. I just graduated in December with my degree in supply chain. So
in basically 3 years here.
Yeah.
Plus the one semester at Northwood.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive to do it that quickly.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Now I heard you might not have been able to go to your graduation.
Yeah, we played Toledo on the night that I was supposed to walk. So working on that to get me to walk in May. So. But it's fine. I mean, we got to go play basketball.
Right.
It's a great night.
You know, the one thing I found, because I'm from a smaller town too. You know, I come here, and when you're driving around, you have to have a little bit of an edge to you. You can't be passive.
Oh yeah.
And then you go home, and it's like, okay, gotta take a deep breath here.
Yep.
I'm not on the Lodge. I'm not on Woodward.
Yeah.
Gotta take a deep breath, because you get used to almost the controlled chaos that is Detroit.
Yeah, it's different. It's definitely different. I remember coming here on my visit after I had entered the transfer portal, and I was like, oh gosh, this is gonna get some getting used to. But honestly, when I first came on my visit, Coach Laura's like, if you just find your way back to Warren and Woodward, you're good. And I'm like, okay, that's stuck with me literally for 4 years now, and I haven't gotten lost once, so I'm feeling pretty good about it.
So what do you say when you get some kids that are coming in? What do you tell them, especially if they're from small towns?
Yeah, I try to relate to it a little bit of like, hey, I was nervous coming here. Like, it is a big change, but like there's so much cool stuff around Detroit, and it's just like such an evolving city. And I don't know, like there's so many great things. Like we buy last minute concert tickets or last minute Detroit Tigers tickets, and so like I don't get that at home. It's an hour drive here, we have to find parking, blah blah blah. I'm like, we just get to hop on the queue line and go downtown. So like there's a lot of pros, and like I mean, we're in college, we get to go home, you can go home, you can drive home. So yeah, I try to connect with them like, hey, yeah, I even grew up on a farm, like this is very different for me. So yeah, I try to connect in that area, like bridging that gap of city and back in the rural.
So you guys as a team are starting to build up the program. You know, last year, very successful year. You make the GLIAC championship. You go to the national tournament. You win a game. And this year, it almost felt like wasn't quite sure, because you had some back. Obviously, you lose someone like Shea, who's an incredible player. But it seems like everyone has stepped up into the roles. What has it been like from last year to this year, where, you know, you were a solid team this year, but it seems like you've even elevated as a program even more this year?
Yeah, I think we bring back experience, too, even off of the bench. We had girls that came with us to the NCAA tournament. Girls like Coco, who was a freshman last year, like she got to experience that, and I think we're all hungry for that again, and we all know that we can reach that point again and go further. We're not really satisfied with just being, like, winning the first round, and like we want to make it out of the region. So we want to contend for a GLIAC championship. We want to make it into the NCAA tournament. We want to make it out of the region. And Coach Lord just keeps pouring that into us too, like telling us like we are a great team. When we're all firing on the same cylinder every night, like we're a great team and we're really hard to stop.
Well, one thing that Coach Lord said to me, and not to bring up an old wound, but after the Grand Valley game, obviously heartbreaker. You had a chance to win that game. She said the one thing I was actually really happy about is they weren't just satisfied with, oh, hey, we played the number one team really well. She said they were pissed they didn't win.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of where I think you see the changes. Maybe a year or two ago, it's, hey, we played the number one team tough, where now it's, we should win this game. We can win the GLIAC.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough for us. We went in, it still stings. We went into that locker room after the game, and it was all like, we were mad. Honestly, we were mad. And there was just so many moments that I think we were all thinking of during that game where, like, maybe we didn't get into a play right away, or there was a last-second shot or last second on the shot clock that we didn't get a shot up for. Stuff like that that we know that we can control. Even just, like, containing guards on the outside and playing good post D. There's spots that we know we could have been better. And I think that's what hurts about it, too, is because – we know we could have won that game if we cleaned up some of those little things. It is good, like, from a captain standpoint, to see my teammates be upset about something like that, too, because I know it just lights a fire in us. We don't want to settle for, we just played the number one team.
No moral
like,
victories.
Whatever. Like, we took them to one. And, that's great. Like, that shows us where we are, too. We can contend with the top. So, it burns, but I don't know. I think it lit a fire in us, and I think that's just kind of what's propelling us now, too.
All right, so this weekend, a big trip going up to the UP.
Yeah.
Before we talk about the games, how does Gabby get through that long bus ride? Because it feels like forever and a day to get to Houghton.
Yeah, usually I'm going to get some homework done on the first couple hours. Around like 9 or 10, Gabby's going to go to sleep. And we're going to just sleep the entire rest of the way. Honestly, a lot of our girls like to read when we go up. We've got like a whole little book club. Yeah, it's like secret Wayne State women's basketball book club. They are obsessed with their reading. So you look around and a lot of girls have got books open. But yeah, Gabby will be asleep, and that's how she's going to get through the 12-hour drive. We hang out when we're at the hotel, which has been fun. It's honestly like a good team bonding moment, too. Like, these trips are nice to just get to know your teammates more.
Right. Well, like this time, as when people are watching this, you're already up there because you left at 4 o'clock on Tuesday instead of early on Wednesday.
Yep.
That's got to help a little bit knowing you get, 2 nights in a hotel. I mean, you'll get up there a little late on, I guess, Wednesday morning. But, yeah, you can actually get to sleep and you're not sleeping through the middle of the day and messing up that schedule.
Yeah. These trips are long, and I think we can kind of get a little slow and tired if we left on Wednesday. So I think we're putting ourselves in a really good position leaving later today, and to have a good practice tomorrow, and then hopefully get a win on Thursday.
So what makes it so tough about going up there? Is it the trip? Is it just that, there are always usually pretty good teams up there? What makes going to the UP so tough?
Yeah, I think, Michigan Tech and Northern are great teams, so that's going to make it tough. But honestly, the drive up there, it's just long. Like, we're driving 12 hours up to Houghton. It's cold. It's snowy. Honestly, this week here in Detroit, being as cold as it is, has sort of prepared us to go up there. Like, we've had some really cold days here. So, I think it's really just the bus ride up there and the fact that every time we get off the bus, it's most likely going to be snowing.
It hurts a little bit just to walk off the bus.
It's freezing cold air hitting your face. So, I think that, and then, they're just great teams. So,
So, okay, what does this weekend mean? Because this feels like a big test. Again, going on the road, Michigan Tech, while they're not ranked, they're still a pretty good team. Northern Michigan is. What is this weekend going to tell us about this Wayne State women's basketball team? Yeah,
I think it's going to come down to us persevering all of this. This long trip, it's hard. The way that we can stay locked in, it's going to show if we can get 2 wins and sweep this weekend. So, I don't know, and we're in a great position for the conference. We're 7-1, I think. Yeah, so this will put us in even better position, especially going into February when we have a lot of home games too.
Yeah,
but
7 out of 10 at home.
Yeah, these away trips are big ones, especially up here, going up to the UP. to get these wins.
So, okay, I know those are tough ones. Are these the worst road places to play in? Regardless of the trip, where's the worst gym to go and play in the league?
Honestly, Grand Valley just brings so
Right.
many people. But I would say, GV or Michigan Tech's got a pretty crazy band up there.
Right,
and
the
a
pep
lot of
band. The pep band is there's nothing else to do up there besides go to the games.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know. It might be Michigan Tech or Grand Valley. I mean, they just bring a lot of people. Northern also brings a lot of people, and it helps that they're good basketball teams.
Right.
So, yeah, it's hard to play up there, even Grand Valley not being too far away. They just bring a lot of people, and honestly, it's fun to play in those environments because it's so loud, even when they're all rooting against you.
Right.
So, it's still fun, but they're hard to play.
It's a little easier to get the heart rate up, and you don't have those letdown moments if when there's a nothing crowd.
Yeah. Yep.
So, all right, Gabi, well, I appreciate you coming on. Again, very short notice. We were supposed to have Taylor on. Hopefully we can have her later.
Yep.
She was feeling a little under the weather. Hopefully she's feeling better because, again, a couple of big games for you this weekend.
Yep.
All right, Gabi, well, here's to hoping you can defend your title as Offensive Player of the Week. Congratulations on that, and good luck up in Marquette and Houghton.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, got a few big games coming up this weekend. Long trip to the UP at Michigan Tech for the men's and women's basketball teams on Thursday, and then Saturday, Northern Michigan. Between the 4 games, 3 of them are against ranked opponents. The only one that's not is the Michigan Tech women. Let's start with the men, though, because last week was nice, beating Parkside and beating Roosevelt. Yeah. Now you got the top 2 teams in the league. You have 2 nationally ranked teams. This is a weekend, at least from my perspective, where the Wayne State men can go from, hey, we're going to be a middle-of-the-pack GLIAC team, if you play well up there, to go, all right, now we can think about being a top-half GLIAC team, hosting and doing damage in the GLIAC tournament.
This week, for both teams, we'll start with the men, obviously. This week for the men is going to answer a lot of questions about this basketball team because Michigan Tech is excellent. Northern Michigan is excellent. Wayne State men have not won at Michigan Tech since February of 2017. They played much better over the years at Northern Michigan, so we'll see how that balances out this week. But it's going to tell a lot about this basketball team. I hate saying this, but, man, just give me a split. Give me a split. You win one of the 2, you're right there, and you've kind of solidified your spot at number 4 at the moment. Because, again, you want to finish top 4 to get a home game for the quarterfinal round. If you get swept, you're kind of back in the middle of the jumbled-up pack for that home game. But if you at least get one win, obviously you want to win them both. Let's go up there and win them both. Trust me, let's go win them both.
Right.
But if you can just steal one of these games on the road, you set yourself up with 7 of your last 10 games, the second time through the league, are being played right here in Midtown Detroit.
Well, and the one number for Michigan Tech that stands out is they're a very defensive-minded team. They only give up 65 points a game. What does that say? Because Wayne State's men aren't going to be the one to win track meets. They're not going to win 195 games. So is this going to be a slogfest?
No, because Michigan Tech features the best player in the conference by far, defending player of the year, Marcus Tomaszek, who is probably the second best offensive player I've seen in my 10 years covering the GLIAC basketball-wise on the men's side.
Averages
at least.
22 a night.
22 a night, but he scored, I believe, 35 on Saturday in their win. He's excellent, and he can kind of turn the game into a track meet if you want. That's the thing with Tech. Like, Tech can beat you in the 60s, but Tech can also beat you in the 80s. So which way do you want to play? I think for Wayne State's men, the way they've been playing lately is they want to kind of get you to the 80s because they've been surprisingly, at least according to what the coaches were saying before the season, they've been a pretty good offensive team and maybe not quite as good defensive, although the last couple of weeks have been much better. So how do you want to play? What style do you want to play? It's just so tough to play up there. The atmosphere is great. I always call myself kind of a Michigan Tech slappy in a way. I love going up there. I don't like trust me, I don't like the distance and the weather. But I love the atmosphere up there. The pep band's great. There's always a lot of fans in the crowd. The staff at Michigan Tech is great. Their coaching staffs are really nice. Mitch Lake, their play-by-play guy, I've been talking to him for 10 years now. Hopefully see him again in a couple days. He's a great guy too. It's just always a great atmosphere to call a game in. There always been, except for a few years, always been really good games. It's just we haven't been able to really get over that hump and beat them. Can this year be different? I think get the game a little more fast-paced. I think you have a better chance of beating Michigan Tech.
So you're going up to play Michigan Tech, who, as of right now, is ranked, number 8 in the country.
Yeah.
And then you go to play another ranked team in Northern Michigan right after. Whether you win or you lose, you're going to have a short memory. This can't be a game where you because if you win, you don't want to have the emotional letdown. And if you lose, you have to be able to put that behind you. You go and play the number 20 team in the country in Northern Michigan, who not too much different. They're 16-2 as well. They're a pretty darn good basketball team, undefeated at home this year. It's going to be a tough task.
They've actually played a little bit closer games throughout the year than Michigan Tech has. So if you want to use that as a reference, that Michigan Tech did beat Northern Michigan the one time they played to see who might be the better of the two teams. But I think matchup-wise, I think Wayne State matches up, and they always have over the years better with Northern Michigan. Matt Mackerjack, the head coach, one of my favorite names in the league, by the way. It's not spelled as it sounds, but Matt Mackerjack, head coach of Northern Michigan, does a great job. But for some reason, Brian Smothers has been able to coach very well against Coach Mackerjack during his tenure here at Wayne State. So we'll see how that one goes. Last year, Wayne State went up there and beat Northern Michigan in a game where Rob Lee scored 40 points. Can they get somebody to score 40 points again this year? We'll see if that can happen or not. But it's going to be a good test because you're going to play Michigan Tech Thursday night, then you have the 100-mile trip, a little farther south, a little closer to home in Marquette. It's going to be even colder in Marquette than it's going to be in Houghton the 2 days we're in Marquette. Can you kind of muster up some strength after playing a tough game Thursday and try to respond on Saturday and knock off Northern Michigan? I just can't wait to watch it because, again, stylistically, the two teams are a little bit different. And how does the coaching staff prepare? Who's going to step up and play on the road? And can Wayne State keep that balance they've shown the last couple weeks? It's got them all this success. It'll be very interesting to see. But I'll tell you what, you're going to learn a lot about your team because these are by far. And I don't think it's even close at the moment. Now, this can change when we get to tournament time in March or in February. But as of now, there is no doubt that Northern Michigan and Michigan Tech are the two best teams in the conference.
So I guess what do they have to do to get to win either of these games? Because Northern Michigan is in the same boat where they hold teams in the 60s a lot of the time. They have put up some big numbers, like against Davenport. They got to triple digits. They got in the 90s against Fair State, a team they blew out when they played them up in Marquette. What do the men have to do to take that next step forward and maybe grow at a rate that a couple weeks ago you weren't sure that they could get there?
Stay aggressive, get to the free throw line. I think that's the biggest key, honestly, in both games. You can get intimidated a little bit with the atmosphere at Tech. You can get intimidated a little bit with the new smaller gym now, which is very nice, by the way, at Northern Michigan. They're not playing in the big hockey arena anymore. They actually have a nice small gym where the atmosphere is great. Get to the free throw line. Be aggressive. Stay aggressive. Don't settle for threes. I think that's when the men's team gets into trouble this year, is when they just kind of pass the ball around the perimeter for about 10 seconds and launch a three. Work the ball around. Work inside out. Let Carlos Paul go to work. Let Jotham Nowicki go to work inside, and then kind of play inside out. But get to the free throw line. Wayne State has done such a great job these last couple of weeks, ever since the Saginaw game, of getting to the free throw line, but also making free throws. And that's how you kind of take crowds out of games. It's how you kind of slow the game down a little bit in your mind. Take a deep breath, go to the free throw line, make a couple free throws, play defense.
Well, the Wayne State women have the same trip, obviously. They'll take on Tech the first game on Thursday. They're actually leaving Tuesday to get up.
Yeah, we're leaving in a few hours.
So as you're watching this, everyone's already up at Houghton. So this is a big test for the women because these are going to be two tough games. But again, these are two games that if you take both of them, now you really start to solidify yourself as that top-tier team in the GLIAC, where if you win both of these, I don't think it's much of a discussion. It's Wayne State and it's Grand Valley at the top of the GLIAC, because what Grand Valley did to Ferris on Monday night kind of said, all right, Ferris is in the same realm as Grand Valley this year. You go up and you get 2 wins this year, starting with one at Tech. I think it really puts the Wayne State women in that tier, saying we are one of the best teams in this league and we can go win anywhere, anytime.
I think the game at Tech might be the most important game of the year up to this point, and that includes the Grand Valley game from a few weeks ago for Wayne State's women, because it's going to set the tone for the rest of the weekend. Out of the two teams, Northern Michigan is the much better basketball team, so Wayne State gets the easier draw. It's nothing easy about playing at Michigan Tech, even on the women's side. Nothing easy at all. Again, the great atmosphere is still there. They're always tough to play against. They're always a very well-coached team. But you get the easier draw to start off with, unlike the men who maybe get the tougher draw to start with. So if you can go out there and win that game Thursday, that gives you some momentum and confidence confidence to say, hey, let's get the sweep on Saturday, as opposed to if you drop that game on Thursday, then we're back tied with everybody in those top 4 spots, and now the pressure's on, and we got to get a win against Northern Michigan to kind of keep our standing in the conference standing. So I think that game on Thursday, biggest game of the year so far for Wayne State's women, and I expect them to come out and play well.
I know Coach Laura is very just nervous about the trip. I mean, she's always nervous about every game, but going up there, it's something tough. I mean, it doesn't matter what sport it is. Going to the UP is tough for anyone at Wayne State, and this isn't going to be any different. And then Northern Michigan, who is also ranked in the top 25 at 15-3. That's going to be the one that kind of says, all right, Northern Michigan battling for maybe a 2 or a 1 seed come the tournament in the GLIAC championship race. That's one where if you go to Northern and win after beating Tech, man, the sky's the limit at that point. I mean, what else is there to say first time through?
That might be up until maybe the return trip in Grand Valley comes here on February 7th to play Wayne State. Might be the game of the year in the conference. If Wayne State gets that win Thursday at Tech, takes care of business, then you set up that huge matchup with Northern. You can put yourselves 2 full games ahead of Northern Michigan if you win that. If you win both games this week, you put yourself basically 2 full games ahead of Northern Michigan and Ferris State, because as of now you have the tiebreaker over Ferris State because you already beat them once. So that tells you how big of a game it is. But Northern Michigan's women always tough to play against. They're so fundamentally sound. They love sharing the basketball. They don't make a lot of mistakes. And the Wayne State women got a big win up there last year when J.C. Tubergen hit a 3 with about 16 seconds to go. And you're thinking to yourself, well, what's unexpected about that? J.C. Tubergen makes 3s all the time. Last year she wasn't playing much, and I don't think she had made a 3 the entire year up until that shot she hit at Northern Michigan in mid-January last year to get Wayne State that win. So it's going to be – I cannot wait for these 2 games. At least 4 games. I can't wait for all 4 of these games, but especially on the women's side, because I made a certain comment on the air on Thursday. We can revisit that for a moment if you want, against Parkside that I want the women to live up to, obviously. And, this week is going to prove that what I said on the broadcast on Thursday is true if they can go out there and win both of these games.
Well, yeah, you were confident, and you said that Wayne State is the best women's basketball team in the GLIAC. And you said it definitively, no ifs, ands, or buts.
I prefaced it by saying I hadn't seen Northern Michigan play yet in person,
right.
So I have the right to change my mind after Saturday. But because I called the game against Grand Valley on the road, and we should have won the game, we got a little screwed toward the end of it with the officiating and all the girls that had fouled out of the game. And I know Grand Valley's best player didn't play, Mackenzie Bisbal. She was actually back last night playing, only played 12 minutes, I think, against Ferris, so maybe not at full strength yet. But again, I made the counter argument that 3 of our best players didn't play a lot of the game either because of foul trouble. But from what I've seen so far, when I saw Grand Valley play and saw us play all season, yes, if we play well, we are the best team in the GLIAC on the women's side, hands down. Again, I haven't seen Northern Michigan yet, but from what I've seen, if we play well, we could beat anybody in the league.
Well, it'd be really nice to come back with a couple of wins. Last thing before we move on, what is it about going up there that is so tough? Is it just the bus ride? Is it the fact that they usually just have good teams up there and it's hard to win anywhere when you're playing a good team? What makes going up to Houghton and Marquette so tough?
I don't think it's the bus ride, because like the example of this week, and I know when this gets posted, when we're taping it, but we'll be up there almost 40 hours before we even play the game. So it's not like we're getting right off the bus after a 9-hour trip and playing a basketball game. I mean, we're going to be there a whole day on Wednesday. They practice both teams on Wednesday night, and then all day Thursday until the game on, Thursday evening. So I don't think it's not the bus ride. It's not the cold weather. It's going to be freezing up there. I think it's going to be negative 45 wind chill on Friday morning up there. I can't wait for that. It's just the fact that they're good teams. Every time you play Northern Michigan and Tech, whether it's men or women, they're usually pretty good, and they're always very well coached. They're always well coached. And the people up there, and I always joke they have nothing else to do up there but go to basketball games and hockey games.
They really don't.
But during the wintertime, trust me, it's beautiful up there. I love the UP, but there's not a lot to do when it's negative 45 wind chill out and stuff. Go inside and watch basketball games. But the atmosphere, it doesn't intimidate Wayne State, but sometimes the Warriors aren't used to playing in atmospheres like that.
Right.
And I go to an example of 2 years ago when the men's team was up there playing Michigan Tech. And that was the year Michigan Tech and Wayne State were very even on the men's basketball side. Wayne State had an 11-point lead with about 10 minutes to go in the game. I'm thinking, this is going to go well. We're going to win the game. And then there was an incident where we had a breakaway dunk, and we kind of taunted the crowd a little bit. And from that point on, the crowd was just all over us the whole rest of the game. And Michigan Tech came back to win. And I'm not saying that was a big reason why we lost, but it was definitely a factor. And I just think we have to learn how to take the crowd out of the games up there sometimes. But I think to answer your question, it's because they're always good teams for the most part, and they're they're always very, very, very well coached.
All right, so the rest of what's going on Friday, we'll have swimming and diving. We'll be here at Mathi, a 5 o'clock start for senior night as Davenport comes in. And meanwhile, the women's indoor track and field, they'll be at GVSU for the Bill Klinger Classic. That one starts at 1 o'clock. A couple of tennis exhibitions. The women's host Huntington in an exhibition at 2 o'clock. And then the men's will host the same Huntington exhibition at 5 o'clock in that one. The men will also host Lawrence Tech at 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Saturday. So that's everything that's happening here on campus while the basketball teams are out in the frozen tundra of Houghton and Marquette.
You know what, though, Brady? I'm not going to mention any places by name because they're not sponsors of Wayne State, but the food up there is incredible.
Yeah,
so that's why
excited.
I am always excited to go up north. I know Henry's very excited about going up there this year again, too, because the food is outstanding. And I'll leave it at that. And that's one of the reasons why I keep doing this job.
Yes, because you have been very excited for that all week long. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully next week we'll be talking about a big weekend up in the UP and as everything is going on here at Mathi. Thank you so much for watching Warrior Weekly with Brady Beedon and my co-host right now, Kevin Brechmacher.